So today we're going to be talking about one of the most electrifying basketball players to come through the NBA in a long time. That's my man, Derrick Rose. We're going to get into his career and where it is right now. So I want to welcome you to Dreamers for the channel. Let's go. So Derrick Rose was drafted in 2008 as the first overall pick by the Chicago Bulls, and he was a Chicago native. And when he came to the Chicago Bulls, he brought new life and excitement to the organization. Before then, of course, they had the Jordan Bulls with Scottie Pippen and the 6 championships. So the Bulls had gone through some droughts of not having success. So when they got Derrick Rose, he was an exciting new addition to the NBA and to the Chicago Bulls. So what happened was, when he first came into the league, he was really electrifying and athletic with the way that he played. He could literally jump out of the arena, and he was super acrobatic. And at that point, people were wondering, is this the most athletic point guard that the NBA had ever seen? Like, period. Because the things that he was doing was just so amazing. Yes, you had people like Spud Webb and maybe Steve Francis and other players like that, but Derrick Rose took it to a whole other, to a whole other realm with his dunks and the way he would contort his body with his finishes, with his speed. He was super, super athletic, and he played above the rim all the time. If you watch a lot of his highlights earlier in his career, he was just dunking all over the place, and he was like a pogo stick. He was just jumping, boom. He was banging it on your head, and that's how athletic he was. So actually, when he came in, he was also, he also made the playoffs, and in 2011, he was actually named MVP of the league, and he became the youngest player to win the MVP in the history of the NBA. And he also went on to be a 3-time All-Star. So when he got to the playoffs, he had some success, but of course, in that time in the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat were there with the Heatles, with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and they could never quite really get over the hump of beating the Miami Heat, but they still had success. So what happened was, due to the way that Derrick Rose played, he also ended up really having these different knick-knack injuries. And as at that point, you could see that his career was sort of going into sort of like a spiral, because he kept on getting injured. He would come back, get all this excitement, get everybody excited in the NBA and especially in Chicago, come back, and then boom, before you know, 3-4 games into the season, he would injure himself and he would be gone for the entire season. And you could just start to see the toll that it was having on him as a person. And a lot of people said that he went through some really, really difficult times in his life. And some people were even saying that he was suicidal for some of the things that I heard, just because of how much he loved to play basketball and the fact that he couldn't play the sport because of his injury history. So as time went on, he ended up bouncing around the league, playing for teams like Minnesota and others. And people really couldn't believe what was happening. And it was really heartbreaking to see such an exciting player that has so much promise, that had won an MVP at such an early age, was making all-star teams, was really amazing to watch. To watch him go from that to now being injured all the time, not really being able to play, going from playing as Bulls to playing in New York to playing in Minnesota, and a lot of people just sort of wrote him off. And the funniest thing was that it's amazing to see how you can rise so quickly and then fall so quickly at the same time. But Derrick Rose still had a lot of dedicated fans out there. So what happened was, he ended up signing with the Timberwolves, and he was playing well and playing well and playing well up until last year, where he had, his career scoring game when he scored 50 points. 50 points after all of the things that he'd been through in his career, all of the ups and the downs and the trials and all of the setbacks and all of those things that he actually had to go through. So to see him come back and get, score 50 points after all of the things that happened, a career high, after all of these years of playing, still a young guy, only 30 years old, you could just see the relief on his face, and he just broke down. He was crying, and everybody said that was the moment of the year. Just seeing what Derrick Rose had gone through his entire career, to come back and have a career high of 50 points in a game was truly amazing. To see a player that, didn't give up on himself, really was just his body. His body just didn't hold up to his desire. It's not like as if he didn't want to play, but to constantly be getting injured all the time and not being able to be on the basketball court to prove what his abilities were was something that was truly tragic. But when he scored that 50 points, I think he got his just due. He was even, close to making an all-star team that year. So it showed, the fans really showed their appreciation for Derrick Rose. And it's one of those tragic stories in the NBA, but you have them really in every sport. But that's why I said I wanted us to highlight a really great player that didn't really live up to what he could have been because of his injuries and his body, but you know, he still continues to play basketball for the love of the game. And I think that's what's beautiful, because D Rose has made all the money that he possibly can in his entire career, but he's still out there playing because he still believes he has something in the tank and something to prove to himself at this point. And I think that's why so many people will forever love Derrick Rose as a basketball player. So if you're a D Rose fan, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you thought in the comment section below. Wishing you guys a great day. Have a good one. Peace.